Hello everyone and welcome to our webinar, Replacing OHSAS 18001, What do you need to know about the ISO 45001? My name is Marcelo Becker and I am an International Product and Market Manager here at SoftExpert. Today's webinar will be presented by Mr. Gus Oliveira. Gus is an International Product and Market Manager here at SoftExpert with over 10 years experience in large companies both in the United States and Brazil. I wish you all a great webinar.
Hello everyone, thank you for taking part in this webinar. I want to start off today by showing you some data from the International Labour Organization, or ILO, and the United Nations on organizational health and safety. According to calculations conducted by the International Labour Organization, every year there are about 2.78 million work-related deaths around the world. This means that about 7,700 people die daily just simply doing their job. What's more alarming is that as recently as 2014, this figure was estimated to be only 2.3 million. Additionally, there are somewhere around 374 million non-fatal work-related injuries and illnesses each year, many of these causing extended employee absences from work. Now, besides the horrific impact this causes on workers and their families, according to the United Nations, this causes a great economic impact as well. Worldwide, the estimated cost of total work-related injuries, illnesses, and deaths is about 3.94% of the global gross domestic product, or the global GDP. This comes out to just about $2.99 trillion in direct and indirect costs. With the advancement in globalization, managing occupational health and safety has become even more complicated, meaning that companies must look well beyond their borders in order to manage their OHS systems. In response to the market demand for an OHS system, a British standard called OHSAS 18001 was created. Sometimes incorrectly identified as ISO 18001, OHSAS 18001 is a framework for an occupational health and safety management system to provide organizations with an internationally accepted system for managing activities and processes to reduce or eliminate OHS risks to employees. The goal of this framework is to put in place procedures, controls, guidelines, and policies for identifying risks, accidents, and improve the organization's overall OHS performance. It also helps organizations to achieve the best possible working conditions, regardless if the company manufactures cars, airplanes, machinery, chemicals, or delivers some type of service such as transportation, hospitals, and etc. The standard was first published in 1999 and later revised in 2007 to better align with ISO 14001 and improve compatibility with ISO 9001. OHSAS 18001 is not directly part of the international standards issued by ISO, as many have mistaken, but its nature and effect is similar to them, where the goal is to continuously create improvement within the organization, as well as guarantees that the system which implemented in the company has been assessed by an accredited certification body. Now, the standard has been widely used all over the globe since it was created and later revised, and has played a major role in improving regulations and requirements related to occupational health and safety. Even so, to ease the alignment with other ISO management system and regulations, the International Organization for Standardization, or ISO, has been working tirelessly since 2013 to develop a new regulation that will replace OHSAS 18001 called ISO 45001. Published on March 12th of 2018, ISO 45001 is the first global standard for occupational health and safety management systems. Developed by a committee of experts on occupational health and safety, the standard is based on other ISO's management system standards like ISO 14001 and ISO 9001 and uses a simple plan, do, check, act model that provides organizations with a framework to plan what they need to do or what they need to put in place to minimize the risk of harm. The standard is also based on other OHS standards such as OHSAS 18001, the International Labour Organization's ILO OSH guidelines, labor standards, and conventions. Furthermore, companies of all sizes and sectors who wish to manage workplace health and safety are eligible to implement and comply with ISO 45001. Because it's replacing OHSAS 18001, ISO 45001 will become the go-to regulation for companies around the globe who wish to manage occupational health and safety. Like ISO 9001 and ISO 14001, the new ISO 45001 is based on ISO's high-level structure, or HLS, which is a new structure dividing chapters and sections. ISO determined that all of their standards for management systems will be structured in such manner. Requirements for each specific area in many management system standards are added to the basic HLS text, and in ISO 45001, somewhere around 50% of the text is specific to management of occupational health and safety, while the other half is HLS text. For organizations that comply with more than one management system, having the same structure and basic text makes the integration process much easier. ISO 45001 will have some fundamental changes when compared with OHSAS 18001. As I mentioned previously, ISO 45001 will follow the same structure as other well-known ISO standards that are recently published, such as ISO 9001 and ISO 14001, both revised in 2015. The reasoning behind it is to ease the implementation of integrated management systems and to improve the compatibility between the management standards. This framework, called NXSL, will be used in all new ISO management standards as well as all existing management systems when they go through their next revision. So, what is NXSL? NXSL is a high-level structure created by ISO in order to provide a universal high-level structure, identical core text, and common terms and definitions for all management system standards. It was designed to make it easy for organizations that have to comply with more than one management system standard. So now, let's see what are the 10 clauses included in the new ISO 45001. So first we have scope, normative references, terms and definition, context of the organization, leadership, planning, support, operation, performance evaluation, and improvement. In these clauses, key changes were made to clauses 4 through 10, and they include Clause 4, context of the organization. The general requirements material of OHSAS 18001 is also incorporated into ISO 45001, but the changes that are made, they were put into 2 new subclauses: understanding the organization in its context and understanding the needs and expectations of interested parties. In compliance with this requirement, the organization should understand the occupational health and safety challenges of the organization and risk inherent in that market segment. Also, the organization should determine the internal and external environment to determine the issues that are relevant and can prevent the success of the OHSAS implementation. Furthermore, the new standard requires from the organizations to determine and analyze its interested parties, including financial institutions, suppliers, customers, media, public, and so on. In clause number 5, leadership, the requirements like the policy, organizational roles, responsibilities, accountabilities, and authorities are all transferred from OHSAS 18001. ISO 45001 has added an important new requirement which states that top management must demonstrate their leadership and commitment by taking accountability and effectiveness of the OHSAS. This requirement is named as leadership and worker participation, and according to the standard, workers include top management, managerial, and non-managerial persons. Furthermore, the new standard has also emphasized the significance of the leadership's role, meaning that everyone must be included within the decision-making process, not only the senior leaders, but all levels of the organization. Clause 6, planning. This clause requires from the organizations to consider the risks and opportunities associated to the issues that are identified in 4.1, more specifically with regards to the interested parties. This clause has brought a significant change to the standard by replacing preventative action and reducing the need for corrective actions. Additionally, the requirements on risks and hazards has been extended by focusing also on risks and opportunities related to relevant interested parties of the organization. Some of the requirements of this clause can be implemented at the planning phase by understanding what, who, how, and when the risks must be addressed. So, when planning of organizational health and safety management systems, the organization shall consider issues referred to in organizational context, requirements referred in interested parties, the scope of OHS management system, determine the risks and opportunities that need to be addressed. Furthermore, when planning how to achieve OHS objectives, the organization shall determine what will be done, what resources will be required, who will be responsible, when will it be completed, how will it be measured through indicators if capable, and how will it be monitored, how the results will be evaluated, and how the actions to achieve OHS objectives will be integrated into the organization's business processes. Moving on to Clause 7, support. The requirements of this clause take into consideration the areas of resources, competence, awareness, communication, and documented information. The main change of this requirement is the term documents and records, which has now been replaced with documented information. The organization will need to maintain and retain documentation information of organizational health and safety objectives and plans to achieve them, keeping complexity to a minimum, aimed at preventing the risk of unintended use of obsolete documented information. This should not have the effect of preventing workers from obtaining full and complete picture of hazards and risks of their work. All documented information should be available and suitable for use, where and when needed, and adequately protected. Clause 8, Operation. The requirements of this clause have not changed significantly. They are just more specific and explicit when compared with OHSAS 18001. These clauses include requirements on operational planning and control, management of change, outsourcing, procurement, contractors, and emergency preparedness and response. When it comes to outsourcing, organizations shall ensure the outsource process affecting OHS management systems are controlled. Companies must also establish controls to ensure that the procurement of goods, for example, products, hazardous materials or substances, raw materials, equipment, and services, conform to its OHS management system requirements. Clause 9 takes into consideration the requirements on monitoring, analysis and evaluation, evaluation of compliance, internal audit, and management review. There are no significant changes in ISO 45001 regarding these clauses as compared to OHSAS 18001. To comply with the requirements of this clause, it is required by the organization to determine what, how, and when different issues need to be monitored, measured, analyzed, and evaluated in the organization. Like OHSAS 18001, internal audit is also included as a requirement on ISO 45001 to guarantee that the management system conforms to the requirements of the standard, statutory and regulatory requirements, industry requirements, and requirements coming from interested parties. Organizations shall establish, implement, and maintain a process for monitoring, measurement, and evaluation, and shall determine what needs to be monitored and measured, including criteria against which the organization will evaluate OHS performance, methods for monitoring, measurement, analysis, and evaluations as applicable to ensure valid results, when monitoring and measuring shall be performed, when the results from monitoring and measurement shall be analyzed, evaluated, and communicated. Lastly, Clause 10 considers the requirements on incident, nonconformity, corrective action, and continual improvement. The only change in this clause is that preventative actions are no longer a requirement of the standard. Now, as you can imagine, there are tremendous benefits of being certified by ISO 45001, and first and most obvious, it shows to companies and your potential clients all over the globe that you are proactively improving the occupational health and safety performance of your team in avoiding injuries and ill health. With the standard, your company will also take a risk-based approach to the OHSAS management system, ensuring that it is effective and it's continuously being improved to meet the organization's ever-changing context. In addition, your company will also improve its ability to respond to regulatory issues, reduce overall incident costs, reduce downtime and costs of distribution to operations, reduce insurance premium costs, identify health and safety hazards and risks associated with activities, and evaluate OHSAS performance and continuously improve by taking appropriate action and more. Now, the question you might be asking yourself is, how do you get started? Companies with existing OHSAS 18001 certification should perform a gap analysis against the new standard. But if your company is not OHSAS 18001 certified and is considering implementing ISO 45001, here are a few tips to get started. Start off by performing an analysis of your organization's context that is relevant to OHSAS, such as interested parties, as well as the internal and external factors that might impact your business. Next, make sure you align your policies with the ISO 45001 sections. Top management will develop, implement, and maintain these policies to help affirm your commitment to health and safety compliance, organizational enhancements, and employee well-being. Next, ensure that this is done for both workers and other interested parties such as unions, labor, advocacy groups, and local regulatory authorities. Now, it's time to identify risks and controls. Here, you must involve workers as part of identifying workplace hazards and corresponding opportunities for risk controls. Moving on, identify sections of your business that impact the employee customer health and safety, outline applicable regulations, develop objectives and targets for improvement, and identify a team responsible for health and safety management. Next, define a time frame in which you wish to implement your system and plan on how to achieve it. Now, determine any competence and/or resource gaps that need to be addressed before you can implement the system. Number 8, now it's time to implement a health and safety management system that meets your business's specific needs. Include outsourced activities into the implementation plan. Next, it's time to perform an internal audit of the health and safety management system and review overall performance with top management to identify opportunities for improvement. Lastly, coordinate with the certification body for transition or implementation arrangements. Now that you've learned about the new ISO 45001, find out more about the most complete and innovative solution in the market for ISO 45001 regulatory compliance and business excellence. SoftExpert offers the most advanced and comprehensive software solution for compliance management that meets the stringent needs of ISO 45001. SoftExpert Excellence Suite helps companies adhere to standards such as ISO 45001, ISO 14001, and ISO 9001 by managing risks, performance, process incident and investigation, audits and inspections, corrective and preventative actions.
Thanks to all of you who took part in this presentation. If you have any questions or would like to get in touch with Gus, please email him at gustavo.oliveira@softexpert.com. For more webinars, please visit our website at www.softexpert.com. See you next time.